All right, welcome everyone. Thanks for joining us on Slamazon Bros Live week number 2. This is our first time using the Blab platform, so it's a little bit new to us. Please excuse any technical difficulties, but you can go ahead and click on the link in chat to be brought directly to the Blab website. But yeah, thanks for joining us during one of the busiest weeks of the year for many sellers on Amazon. Black Friday week is crazy. I know Andy and I have been swamped getting some bolos that we've been chasing after and just getting boxes in and out. So we are going to make this a quick one today. We're not going to take too much of your time, but this will be recorded. So if you know someone who isn't able to watch the video today, you can send them to slamazonbros.com, where all our videos will be after we have our live sessions on every Wednesday at 2 p.m. You can also join us at the Slamazon Bros Facebook group, where we are having regular communication, a community of sellers, so make sure you check us out there. But without further delay, we're going to have Andy Slamans tell us how he got to grow his Amazon business to sell $75,000 a month. So Andy, I don't know if you have a particular order, but I know you have 10 tips for us on how you were able to do that.
Yep. So yeah, thanks, Nate. So I just want to go through quickly 10 reasons that I think that have helped me be able to scale my business to 75,000. A lot of these are kind of common sense reasons. However, I'll get new sellers that come up to me frequently, or they PM me frequently, and they want to be able to grow their business to the level where they can go full time. Thankfully, I've been able to do that. In the past 3 years, I was part-time for about 17 months, and then I went full-time, and I've been full-time for right around 17, 18 months. And so what I want to share with you basically is what I've done right with my business to be able to get it to that point. And so, just know that going into this, a lot of it is, I guess, what you would call common sense type stuff, but sometimes common sense isn't too common, right? And so let's just get right into it. When I first started right on Amazon, I really analyzed. I had a next door neighbor who lived right behind me. She had sold for 2 years, and I helped her a little bit, but I also watched her for 2 years sell on Amazon. She was always trying to get me to sell, and I thought it was kind of like a multi-level marketing scheme. She would say that she was buying books for like $5 and then selling them for $100. So I didn't really believe, that it was a true model, because it just sounded too good to be true. And that was when there was a lot less sellers. But I followed her for 2 years. She gave me a book by Chris Green. It's the Retail Arbitrage. It's about selling on Amazon. I read that 3 times through before I signed up for Amazon. And so, understand it's like a 300-page book. But I read it 3 times because I really wanted to make sure that this was going to be a business model that I believed in, a business model that worked. And so after doing that, after watching my friend, her success for 2 years, after reading that book 3 times all the way through, I decided that it was a viable business model, that it wasn't like a multi-level marketing type deal. I believed in the future of it, that online sales right now is just 10%, right? And that they're going to continue to grow. They grow 20 to 30% year over year for like the last 10 years. And so I basically then went all in, and I had the attitude, I saw other people doing it who were kind of common people like me. They weren't like geniuses, or they weren't like freaks when it came to business. And so I believed that if I worked hard, that I could make this thing work. So I kind of went in with a no fail attitude. So Yoda, right? I just picked this guy up at Target yesterday. This is kind of a speculative buy for me. I was able to get this at Target for $105 yesterday. So if you're a new seller, I don't recommend you buying this to resell. I'm buying it to hold on to it because I think that it might in the future have some value. All right. So I got that for $105 yesterday with Target cartwheel, and then the red card, and then they had it for sale for $129. But anyway, why I brought Yoda up. Yoda says, do or do not, there is no try, right? Do or do not, there is no try. And so what my first tip is, when you get to the point where you really want to make this a business that is going to either bring you part-time income, you may be happy. If you're happy in your full-time job, great. Then this is a great business that you can make some significant income with relatively easily, working out of your house. And so whether you want to do a part-time or full-time, just, do your due diligence, learn, before you even start, figure it out. And then if you get to that point where, look, I believe in this, then go for it and make it work. All right. So that's the first one. Second one is this. Okay. Go slowly, pace yourself. Again, I'll have new people that come to me and they want to scale the 75,000 in like 6 months, right? You can't do that. It is unrealistic. It's not going to happen. If you looked at my first 17-month sales, I grew slowly. So every month, right, I got a little bigger, and I never used any of my money that I was generating, that I was making for those first 17 months. They all went right back in the business. Unless you have a good amount of working capital, you need this is what I think, you need about 17 months where you're not using that money, that you're just dumping it right back into purchasing inventory and then feeding the beast and getting your product into Amazon. And so, because people will come to me and they'll be like, hey, Andy, I need to make this amount of money in 4 months or I'm going to lose my house. And I'm like, look, you can't do that. There's no way. That's not going to work. There's no new business that you can start where you can start feeding your family in like a 4-month time. All right. Maybe if you're buying like a franchise, but again, that means either you got some major loans or you got major capital if you're buying like a Subway franchise. And so just understand that, like my advice always is to grow it slowly, pace yourself. Just know that you're not going to like make major bank right away.
Now, Andy, real quick, Andy, we all do know some sellers who seem to jump in it, however, and within 3 or 4 months are selling 50,000 a month or something. So it is possible, but it's definitely not the normal, correct?
Yeah, well, it is possible if you have a good amount of capital to start with. And so if you have $40,000, either, if you're using credit cards, or if you got a friend that's going to loan you money, you can generate, right away. If you have $40,000 where you can buy inventory, then yes, you can grow a lot quicker. But I think for the most part, probably 90% of the people that start this business, they don't have that kind of capital in the bank. For the most part, they're starting with maybe $2,000, $3,000. So you want to roll that over. All right. So again, my thing is just go slow. If you got capital, and you're okay, then yeah, you can ramp it up. All right. So the third thing I think is important is start by, I started by thrifting. And so when I first started, it was a great way. I started scanning books, right, in the thrift store. I think starting with inventory that costs less is a great way to learn how to analyze buys. Because as your business begins to grow, you're going to make bigger buys. You're going to go deeper on products. So instead of just buying one of something, you're going to buy 100 of something. But when you purchase that 100, you want to make sure that you are fluent in all the tools that you need to use to analyze if that buy is going to be good or not. You want to be able to analyze if you're going deep on 100 units, how long is it going to take you to sell through those 100 units? You never want to go over the 6-month storage fee. You almost always have to have that stuff sent back to you. If it doesn't sell within 6 months, you're going to have it shipped back to you. And so you want to be able to analyze. You want to be able to know the tools like Camel and Keepa. Keepa.com to be able to see how deep you can go on a product. All right. And so, if you're just starting out and you got less capital but more time, then start out where it takes you more time to source, but that you're getting those higher margins. And that's what you'll find a lot of time in thrift stores or on the clearance aisle. So that's my third advice if you're just starting out. Just start out on inventory that costs less, but you're going to train yourself and you're going to figure out how to buy. All right. So here's the fourth thing. Network with other sellers. Use the Facebook groups. I tell people all the time, one of the biggest resources that I've drawn upon that has helped me grow my business are the various Facebook groups. And so, we have the Slamans Bros Facebook group. If you're not in that, I encourage you to join that. There have actually been some pretty good bolos that have been shared in there, and as well as some pretty good resources that are there already. We started the Slamans Bros website. We're going to try to put out some really good content there as well. That's going to help new sellers as well as veteran sellers grow their business. There's a number of other Facebook groups. You want to spend time, right, reading through those posts. Use the Facebook group search, right? That little bar up there where you can search topics, because I guarantee you a lot of them will come up. But I rely heavily, right, on trusted sources that post in those Facebook groups. Now, the thing is, you have to vet sometimes what people say. So it's not like the Bible, but a lot of times maybe you can read a little bit what they say and then go back to the Amazon Seller Central and verify, what somebody is saying. But there really is some really good information in those groups. Invest in a course, invest in a coaching program. Look, you're investing in your business. Why I like courses, why I like coaching programs is it helps to keep you accountable. And so I'll have people that come to me that, that want a private label, and my course, I think, is good because it kind of pushes out information, as well as when you pay for something, generally you value it a little more. And so I'm all for hiring the right coaches. There's a number of very successful sellers. They started out, right, by paying for a coaching service, and they're very thankful for those coaches. I go to CrossFit gym, right? I go 4 or 5 times a week, and I go to the CrossFit because it's basically like having a coach. It's like one coach for every 10 members. Now, if you pay for like personal fitness coaches, sometimes they'll charge like $40 or $50 an hour. But for me, going to CrossFit, there's an accountability. If I don't go, right, the coach or somebody from CrossFit is going to PM me, or they're going to message me. It keeps me accountable into keeping my fitness at the proper place. And so, business is the same way. And so if you pay for a coach, you pay for a program, it's going to help you keep you accountable. So that's my 4th thing. Here's my 5th thing. You have to have, and we've talked about this a little bit already, you have to have a little bit of capital to start with that you don't need to support yourself right away. All right. I want to reiterate that. So we're going to kind of hit that 2 times. I can't tell you again the number of people that come to me that want to start this business and want to draw upon the income like right away. And that's not how you're going to be able to grow quickly. You have to be able to reinvest everything right back into the business. My personal advice is, I wouldn't start drawing out any type of income until you are hitting, and again, this is if you want to go full time, until you're hitting about $35,000 to $40,000 a month. Once you hit those numbers, where you're churning out $35,000 to $40,000 a month in gross sales, then you can start drawing on a little bit of the income. Again, that's like no hard, fast rule, but from what I've seen in my experience, I think that's a pretty good barometer where you can start drawing out some income. Again, this is if you want to go full time. All right. So that's number 5. Number 6 is this: keep an eye on your numbers. It's kind of a slippery business because you got inventory, right, going in, you got inventory being sold, so you got inventory going out, and sometimes it's hard to really get an idea of how much money you're making. So you really want to keep an eye on that. Second thing, a part of number 6 is be careful of how many services you subscribe to. So there's a lot of different Amazon FBA seller services right now. And if you're not careful, you can get caught up, right, into subscribing to a bunch of them that you never use. And so, always keep a close track on how many monthly subscriptions you're part of. And if you're part of some that you aren't using, then get rid of those, because that's going to add money to your bottom line. So definitely keep an eye on your numbers. And then here's the thing on the second part of that, as you begin to grow, outsource services, right? because what you'll find is as you begin to grow, and, business people will tell you this, time is your number one asset. And so for me, time is my number one asset. And so that's why I'll use a service like Nate's ungating service, because I don't want to learn how to get approved in those closed categories. My time is spent more valuable finding products, right? Because I'm a private label seller. And so the most value of my time is finding good products that are going to sell. And so and I'm at the point now where I'll outsource services to Nate's, like getmeungated.com, because I'd rather just pay him. It's going to get done quickly, and I don't have to think about it. And then I can move on to doing what I'm best at and where my time is used the most valuable. So, definitely as you begin to grow, you want to use those services. So that's number 6. Number 7 is this. You have to take risk on inventory. And part of this business is it's a little bit of sanctioned gambling, I guess. You just got to know that. And that's why, when you're first starting out, I often tell people, don't go into debt when you're purchasing inventory. For me, the reason I was able to grow relatively quickly, I made some really good buys. I never went into debt. I used money that I already had. And I went deep on products. And this is the risky part, but this is, again, where I say you don't want to go deep until you really understand all the tools that you can use to analyze those buys. But at the same time, the reason I was able to grow so fast, I went deep on a lot of products that made me a lot of money right away. So one of the products I went deep on, and it was a little scary because it was this cheap plastic thing. I'm trying to think what it was now. It was Dippin' Dots. That's what it was. So there was just like this gooey Dippin' Dot maker, and it was junk. The reviews on it were like 2.5 star reviews. However, I was doubling my money on it. And I think I bought like 400 from Toys R Us, and it was at a good rank. And so a lot of people are kind of scared about if a product has 2.5 reviews. But again, I could go back, I could look at the history and see how long that product had sold, for how much that product had sold. And so I was okay buying 400, and I doubled my money, and it had a really high sales velocity. And I did that early on. So just know on name, and this is what I say too, don't be afraid to go deep on name brand products. Even though it's a little bit like gambling, generally, the worst that can happen is you're going to break even or maybe lose a couple dollars per unit, right? But again, it has to be a name brand product. So I always tell people what I do when I analyze, if I'm going to go deep on a product, I think to myself, what happens if the bottom falls out? And if just really falls off the cliff, how much money am I going to potentially lose? And then if after I analyze that question, if I'm okay with it, and again, if it's only going to potentially lose $2, maybe $3 a unit, but the upside is maybe I can make, or net $15 a unit, then that's a product that I'm going to go deep on. All right. So understand that at some point, you're going to have to be able to take risk on products. That's number 7. Number 8. You have to be always acquiring inventory, right? You always have to be feeding the beast. This is a constant, right? Here's the deal. When you first get started, and again, this goes to if you don't have a lot of capital, this is a blue collar job, all right? You are going to get your hands dirty. You're going to get cuts on your hands from opening up cardboard, from using the tape gun. Your back is probably going to hurt a little bit from moving boxes. And again, this is if you want to keep your margins as close as possible so you can make as much money, then you want to do the work yourself, right? And so this is, a lot of people don't understand that. They think, oh, selling on Amazon, maybe it's, it sounds kind of glamorous. If you want to keep your margins tight and you do the work yourself, it's not. It's a blue collar job. So just know that, going in. As you grow, then you can utilize those prep and ship companies like Prime Zero Prep, right? As your margins or as your profits grow, right, month over month. So right now I use Prime Zero Prep for probably 90% of my products. All of my private label products I have sent to him. but that's because I'm at a level now where I can add on $1.50 per unit, which is what Prime Zero Prep is going to cost me. And I'm still okay with that margin. And so I don't have to have the product sent to my house. But just starting out, I did everything myself, and I recruited high school kids, right, to come and help me. And that's kind of, you got to think of it that way. If you're just getting started, think of it like a startup. Get your family members to help you, get your friends, right, to help you. Tell them you'll feed them dinner, ask them if they can come over and help you pack for 2 hours, and that, you'll buy them pizza. But, and again, that's the best way, I think, to grow the quickest, margin wise. All right. You always have to be feeding the beast, though. That's constant. It's never going to stop. You're in retail, and so you're always going to have product coming in, and you always got product being sold, and you always have to be adding new inventory. Otherwise, your business is going to get stale. Okay. All right. Number 9. So yeah, I see someone says they're sending out their pie face game to FBA. I'll answer that question later, Nate, if you can remember that question. All right. Number 9 is this: get to know the Amazon catalog, right? The best place to do research is to really look at Amazon.com. Go there and act like a shopper. Figure out what Amazon is doing. Figure out what the shoppers on there are looking for. And that's going to help you, right, to become a better purchaser of product that Amazon customers are going to want to buy. You never want to send in product that Amazon customers aren't searching for. You can't send in, stuff that is not being put in that search bar. All right. And the best way to learn is spend time on Amazon every day. See what they're highlighting. See what's on that home screen. All right. Number 10, here's the last thing. And this is kind of like a next level thing. Learn how to make your own unique listings. It doesn't mean that you have to import, you have to private label. It means that you learn how to bundle, right? One of the best ways to make money, especially at this time of the year, is to make unique name branded bundles. Because it's a name brand like a Lego, you are going to get the keyword search recognition. Your bundle is going to get seen. You own that buy box. Do it in a way so that it's difficult for other sellers to get on. And it means that you're going to get all the sales on that listing. But, for me, my business took off when I started a private label and when I owned that buy box 100% of the time. All right. So those are my top 10 reasons that I think I've been able to scale my business to $75,000 a month. So Nate, I don't know if you have any questions or if you saw any questions in the chat.
One thing I wanted to say about your last point there with the unique bundles, if it's private labeling or creating your own listing, the pay per click that Amazon has now can really be useful if you utilize that, even for a name brand bundle, like you're saying, just to get some initial recognition on Amazon, some initial sales. That price per click can really be helpful there to just get that going.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I don't know if the only questions we have was about putting up, some when you're listing an item, how to put the label on it. I think we can go over that in the Slams on Bros Facebook group in more detail. I don't think I have any questions about that list. I would just say, was there one of those that you feel is the most important to you? Is there a top one of those 10 that you have is your most important?
Oh yeah, let me bring them up here again and just take a look at it. Okay, so which one would I say? Well, again, this is kind of like a generic overall one, but basically, if someone, this is what I've seen, like even with members of my course group, if they get to the point like where they really believe that this is a business model and they have that no fail attitude, if you want to say that they're willing to grind, or they're, the popular word, if they're willing to hustle to make it happen, that to me is the number one thing. And the reason I say that is you can see there are thousands of sellers, right, who are full-time, who are just like you and I running the business out of our houses that are extremely successful. Okay. And so that tells me then if I put in the work and if I learn how to analyze and order like they are, I can be just like them. And if I see somebody who really believes like that, then I know that they're going to be successful. All right. So that's all I have.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think what really differentiates the good seller from the average or they're not so great is the hustle, like you said. That and knowing your numbers can be up there too, because some sellers are thinking they're doing well and are actually losing money. So I think I think that'll do it for today. Like I said, starting off, this is a crazy week for almost all of us. So I think we will wrap that up just short of 30 minutes here. And if anyone does have more questions, join us at the Slamazon Bros Facebook group, where Andy and I are constantly answering questions and going to be chatting on a daily basis. So join us at the group, register at slamazonbros.com, and join our community and ask us questions as they come up. Anything else, Andy?
Nope, that's it. You guys have a great Thanksgiving.
Thanks, guys.